Welcome back. In the previous lecture, we have seen how we can use parse glob instead of parse files function to give a path of all our files, and each of the file inside this templates directory was getting parsed. And then we created a new file using os.create function, and then we have executed our template to copy all the contents of our base2.dt file inside the newly created base2 HTML file. Alright, so everything is working as expected. Let's talk about something new in this one. Parsing is actually a very costly process. And if we try to parse too many files every now and then, eventually our Go program will slow down. So we have to ensure that we do the parsing just once and do it right. Let's see how we can do that. Golang has a special function called init, and that function will be called right before the main function. Let me show you how. So I'm going to create a new function called init, and let me just log some value here. So I'll write fmt.println, and here I'll write init function is called. Let me save everything, clear the console. I'll write go run main.go. And you can see that we have init function is called. And just to show you that it is called before the main function, I'm just going to log a new text here inside main function. Let me save everything, clear the console, and I'll write go run main.go. And you can see that first init function is called and then the main function is executed. Alright, so now we are sure that before we go to the main function, we have the init function which is called first. Now what do we do with that? Let me start by creating a new variable called template. So I'll write like this, tpl. I'm creating it as a global variable because this variable can be accessed inside all these functions. Now what should be the type of this variable? As we see here, we have parse glob. Parse glob returns template.template. So this will be the type of this tpl variable. So I'll write it like this, template.template, like this. And this template is text/template. Make sure you're using text template and not HTML template. If you're going to use HTML template, you will see a different output. So if any point in time you're seeing a different output, make sure you are using the text/template package. Alright, so now we have tpl variable. How do we use that? So I'm going to write like this, tpl comma error, and then I'm going to write this particular statement. So I'll just cut it from here, and here I'll paste it like this. And now we don't need to do the error check, and now we don't need these variables here. Let's also move the error checking to init function like this, and now we have the tpl variable, and there you go. First init function will be called, all the files will be parsed, and parse glob function will return a template. This template, which is basically a container, will be stored in the variable tpl. But as you can see, we have an error here. Let's try to debug it. Here you can see that tpl declared and not used. That's pretty interesting. We have already declared tpl variable here. So what's going on? Here, as you can see, I'm using the assignment operator, which means that within the scope of this function, a new tpl variable will be created and it will be used. But as soon as we go out of this function, the existence of this tpl variable will be lost. So basically, we are creating a local tpl variable and not the one which we have declared globally. So how do we fix this problem? Let's go to the documentation and see if we have something. So I'll head over to my Chrome, and here I am on text/template documentation, and here you can see we have a function called must. So let's read about it. Must is a helper that wraps a call to a function returning template, error, and panics if error is not nil. It is intended for use in variable initialization such as var t is equals to template.must. That's pretty interesting. So basically what it means that parse glob function returns pointer to a template and error, and the must function takes pointer to a template and error. So basically, must function will do the error checking for us, and then if there are no errors, it will just return us the template, which is what we need. So I'm just going to cut out this line, and here I'll write template dot must, and then I'll just paste the lines which we have copied. And now I can safely get rid of the error checking, and I can get rid of these values. So now we have TPL, which is pointer to the template, and it is returned by the must function. Must function takes parse glob. Parse glob function returns pointer to a template and error. Must function is doing the error checking for us, and if there are no errors, it will return us the template. This is what we need. So let me just clear out some lines, and let me just get rid of this logging here. And now inside our main function, we are directly creating the base2.html. We are doing the error check. We are closing the file so that it can be used by other programs. And then we are executing the template. Everything is fine. And we still have an error, which is because of the unused package. So now I'll save the file. Let's go to our terminal. And before I execute this, let me just delete base HTML and base2.html so that a new file will be created. All right, now we are good to go. I'll write go run main.go. And there you go. We have base2.html and we have the contents of base2.dt. How cool is that? Everything is working as expected. Now we are sure that templates are being passed just once, and also we are using the must function, which is doing the error checking for us. Then we are creating the file, populating the contents, and so on. You know all this stuff, don't you? All right, so let's stop right here and we will continue in the next one.